Good afternoon, everyone. We are live and y'all can start when you like.
All right. Jennifer, how are we looking on participants? Do you want to start now or do you want to wait a few minutes?
Let's wait just a few more minutes.
Perfect.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm here. I'm just going to mute and stop video until we get going, okay?
I'm counting that we have at least 10 of 12. And since it's 3:03, I think we could probably go ahead and get started. And if anyone joins late, we'll just add them in.
Awesome. Thanks, Jennifer. All right. Well, good afternoon, and we'll call the General Academic Institutional Formula Advisory Committee meeting to order. I'm Daniel Harper with the Texas State University System, serving as chair. And I'm going to note that our meeting is being broadcast to the public as a reminder. And from there, I'll turn it over to Ms. Gonzalez for our roll call.
Okay, Miss Albright.
Present.
Dr. Blanchard. Miss Brown. I see you. Mr. Davidson. Miss Deardor.
Here.
Mr. Duran.
Here.
Dr. Hurley.
Here.
Miss Mendez.
Here.
Miss Sloan.
Here.
Mr. Tomlinson.
Here.
And Miss Cruel.
Here.
Great. So we have a quorum.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So the first item is consideration and approval of the minutes from our October 27th hearing. Everyone should have received a draft of the draft of the minutes in our materials, and we'll take a short pause to see if there's any questions, comments, or corrections to the minutes. All right. And hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Susan. I so move.
Thank you, Susan. And then a second.
This is Joseph. I second.
Thank you, Joseph. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? All right. Well, hearing none, the motion passes. The next agenda item is to discuss, review, and possible approval of the recommendations related to the 24-25 biennium charges. You should have two documents that collectively comprise the recommendations. As you know, the first charge is to study and make recommendations on the appropriate funding level for the operations support, space support formulas, the split between utilities and O&M for the space formula. Do we have any discussion on the recommendations for charge one?
Daniel, this is Noel Sloan. Just real quickly, I agree with the recommendation. I think in the second paragraph of the recommendation, the last full sentence, we still need to insert the percentage increase.
Correct.
And then on the first bullet of the third page, should that be fall 2020 and 2022? Or are those years correct?
All right.
Right.
Where is that, Noel? Again?
First, page 3.
Yeah, so when we're talking about the space support formula, it is the third bullet under that section.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, I think I believe you're
Right.
correct.
Yeah. Should be 2020, 2022.
All right. And then we'll get the math for that percentage change for page 2. We'll get that calculated. And then Jennifer, did you have an observation as well?
I did, in reviewing the numbers on charge one, the total was 5,217 million. And when I added up the INO infrastructure and small institution supplement, it should be 5,686 million. 5.66.
All right. I will
So
trust.
there'd be an opportunity to, like, when we when you make a motion on each charge, if you know, or on the report piece of it, if you'd like to authorize the chair to make minor edits as needed, as long as they don't change the, you know, the intent of what you were trying to do. So.
Yeah, it'd probably be good to at least propose that to see if the collective group will support it.
Daniel, this is Joseph. Can I make two comments? One on right under charge one under recommendation. Let's see. I think it's the second sentence, and it's the ending where we say the 2024-25 biennium to reflect enrollment and cost growth, for example, inflation.
Yeah.
We just reword that like we did in the second paragraph, where we did at the where is that? Yeah, the first sentence of the second paragraph: enrollment growth and inflation. Maybe
Yep.
that's
So
the
we'll
same.
get- yeah.
Just keep it. And then this is just a general. This may be a dumb question, but how do we define fund enrollment growth?
I've always thought it would be maintaining the rates.
Maintaining the rates, right? Okay.
That's
Yep. So as SCHs increase, weighted hours go up. If you kept the dollars the same, the rate would decrease. But we're saying maintain enrollment growth, keep the rate the same. Okay, that's the way I look at it. Thank you.
all right. Any other observations on charge one? So I've noted 4 kind of minor edits to the proposal for charge one. Unless there's any more, do we have a motion to approve as kind of adjusted charge one?
This is Susan. I move approval with the, giving the chair of the committee the ability to make any technical corrections as you move forward as they're found.
All right. And a second,
This is Noel. I'll second.
thank you both. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And do we have anyone opposed? Hearing none, we'll move that forward. So next is charge 2, which is study and make recommendations on the input to the operation support and space support formula, including expenditure study, tuition estimate, online adjustment. And do we have any discussion on thoughts or changes to charge 2?
This is Joseph. I don't have anything.
I didn't either. I thought Noelle and her group put together
Yeah.
a great, well-worded synopsis and recommendation. All right. Well, hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the charge for charge 2? Or the recommendation for charge 2?
This is Emily, so moved.
Thank you,
James
Emily.
Hurley, second.
Thank you, sir. All in favor, say aye.
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 And any opposed? Hearing none, we have charge 2 approved. Next is charge 3, which is study and make recommendations on the appropriate funding level for those 3 research formulas. Any changes to or edits to the recommendation for charge 3? I did include, whenever I drafted it and sent it up, that I thought we had included a chart historically that kind of had the cost broken out by sector. And if we're going to include that, I had kind of an as illustrated on the respective page as a placeholder, but
Are you referring to the attachment that showed the projections for each fund?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. I didn't know if
Okay.
we had historically included that, or if we were.
We haven't, but I don't see why you couldn't if you wanted to do that. I think it would probably help summarize something for the end user to see.
So any thoughts from the group on
I actually think it would be a good idea this season.
anyone opposed to Susan Brown's great idea?
Oh, no, Daniel, I'm blaming everything on you.
Uh-huh. So, and I do see we have Dr. Blanchard joined us. So we'll mark him as here as well.
Yes, and Dr. and Mr. Davidson as well. I
Oh,
got it.
perfect. Perfect. All right. Any discussion on charge 3 in addition to what Susan Brown's suggested?
Daniel, this is really minor, but in that same paragraph where you have as illustrated on page to be inserted, just go to the top of that paragraph in support of the continued, should that be focus on funding rates?
Yeah, that's probably a typo, or that is a typo.
Yeah. But I'm good with the recommendation.
All right. All right. Well, unless we have any others, do we have a motion to approve charge 3 with those 2 amendments?
This is Veronica. I move.
Thank you.
I second. This is Lauren.
Thank you, sir. All right. Any opposed? Speak now. Hearing none, we'll adopt charge 3 as amended. The next is charge 4, which should be included in a separate attachment that Joseph Duran facilitated for the group. Any edits to the subcommittee report portion of charge 4's summary?
Nope. I think Joseph did a good job.
Had a lot of good help. Thank y'all.
All righty. Unless there's any edits, do we have a motion to approve the subcommittee report on charge 4?
This is Susan, so moved.
This is Lauren. I second.
Both. All right. Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll adopt charge 4. And then our last charge is charge 5, which is study and discuss the adjusting the formula funding to reflect the cost of education related to student characteristic, enrollment changes in the biennium, and then any other factors. This is the one that, when I was working on drafting it, it may need more improvement than any of the others. So I'll open it up to the collective group for discussion on charge 5. If we're going to keep the language in the second line under the recommendation for student characteristics, I'm assuming we're going to want to spell out and kind of correct the way TES model is worded on here. That was a note that I put in for the teaching experience supplement.
So Daniel, if we look to changes, this is going to require, are we talking specifically like the CRU initiative, or just because the coordinating board already defines at-risk students? The CRU initiative in statute defines at-risk. Are we looking at changing the way the statute under the CRU initiative defines at-risk?
In charge 5, I thought it was the larger picture of defining an at-risk student. And as I kind of recall some of our discussion is, on this kind of 30,000 foot view level, it's moving more and more just to basically being Pell eligible or not. But then from that discussion that we had with UT System, Texas State, Lamar, it seemed like there was interest in looking in the future for when institutions define kind of the at-risk population at a larger, and I guess a more micro level.
And I agree with that. And I think part of what the coordinating board and statute is currently defined are items that may or may not be around. As you look at the ACT, SAT, and some of that, those are becoming less prevalent and less required, that sort of thing. High school ranking is going, the way of the dodo bird. And so we're just kind of, I think there was a thought that we needed to find something, but nobody really knows what that is at this point.
Yeah, this is Emily. I see this more as an ongoing charge, not something that we were able to resolve, but taking the first steps to look at it. So if in the future these factors become part of some sort of funding model, this kind of starts a discussion of looking at what needs to be considered.
Given what Joseph just said, could there be maybe a little bit more clarification in the language to indicate this is a longer term?
Yeah. And I think, and when I talked to Jennifer, because this charge, I figured there was going to have some more input from the group, because I really don't think I captured it in the best. You know, we can kick around some changes, and I think Jennifer said we can probably approve it via email.
Yeah,
Collective group. So
I think so.
And I was also, asking in the context of what kind of approvals do we need to make a change? If it's how the coordinating board defines it, and if we make a recommendation to change it to include X, Y, and Z, that then go to the coordinating board and then they look at it and decide what they want to do?
yeah, I mean, I would assume I mean, probably wrongfully, but I assume that we would continue to have these dialogues through the coordinating board. And then ultimately, if there is a better way to define at risk, that the coordinating board would be the vehicle to do it through either their policy. And then ultimately, if it is the will of the legislature, to update how they reflect it in statute.
Okay.
I mean, something for you to have done by January of next year, Joseph. So,
Got it.
yeah. Well, do we want to make a well, I guess maybe I defer to Jennifer on procedurally how we would, from this point, make a recommendation that we do some amendments to it. We'll do that through email and then circulate for the group's review and ultimate sign off on charge 5.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So you need an amendment that says we would like the language to be updated to reflect a broader meaning and a more long-term goal. And that at that point, then the recommendation can be emailed out to the entire committee to vote on it. And if there is substantial disagreement, then we'll have a meeting. Other than that, it can be approved through email. How's that for a wordy motion?
Nice job.
Sounds about as bad as I speak. So, yeah. All right. Do we have a second to Susan's motion?
This is Joseph. I'll second that one.
All right. So,
You have to repeat it first.
Susan's motion for charge 5 is approved, and we'll get that back out to the collective group. Then I guess we have no pending items that I'm aware of left for the committee's consideration.
I just have one thing to say. We're required to provide a report of direct expenses that members incurred in association with the committee's work. With the meetings being held remotely, these might be mostly zeros for y'all, but I'm still going to send out an expense record in case there were additional expenses that you incurred that you'll be able to return to me.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
And seeing no other items, do we want to keep our January 5th meeting on the calendar, Jennifer, in the event we come back? Or do you want to go ahead and release that date on everyone's calendar?
It's up to you. I think we could handle it by email based on the last
All right.
motion from Susan.
All right. So unless there's objection, we'll release the January 5th date, and if needed, we can reschedule something in the new year if we need to talk through any of the proposed changes to charge 5. And unless there's objection to that, the next item is adjournment. And I'll see if we have a motion to adjourn for the day.
I second Joseph's motion. I
Oh,
saw the hand
I was
going
about
up.
I motion that we adjourn, yes.
Okay, and Susan's the second. All right, well, thanks everyone for
And Daniel.
dialing in, and look forward to hearing from the collective group on Joseph's recommendation, Joseph's changes to charge 5. So,
And Daniel, Marilyn said to tell you hi.
oh, I love me some Maryland. So, all right,
Thank
thanks
you all.
everyone.